Hello and welcome to the Israel of God. And as I always say, why our interpretation is expressly prohibited. My name is Brother Antoine, and I'll be your teacher for today. And reading for me today is Brother Mac. Okay, I apologize. I've been really trying to get to you guys. The first time I had the flight just cut out on me, and then yesterday I wanted to come early on Friday, and I left my wallet. So it'd been okay. I probably would have made it in the flight, but I couldn't take the drive here. I had to rent a car. So it's been a real task, but I knew by no matter what, when I found out I couldn't get that flight, I was already going to get those van keys, and I was just going to drive. But it's great to be back here. I think the last time I was here, it was the last day before everything shut down. So I've been trying to get back here. And the title of today's lesson is Witchcraft. Witchcraft, it's really the tag on to Doctrine of Manifestation. Now, I don't know if you all have seen Doctrine of Manifestation lesson, but this is where you end up. And we're going to see that because we're going to watch a few things first to get this started. But when you start feeling like you're not getting these answers, you wind up here, right? And so you're going to see people seek out witchcraft because they're looking for answers, but they're usually looking for answers when it comes to the stuff that they want. Never really about God's business. Never really have anything to do with him. It's, I wanted this. My mama died of cancer, and I prayed to the Lord, and she didn't still live, so I'm going to go elsewhere, right, where I can get my prayers answered, right? So it's been like a movement going on about this lately, right? So I wanted to kind of deal with it and to kind of set the tone and start it off. And I did this in Baltimore specifically because they have a little group that's been starting up in Baltimore. So I want to start off that first video. If you all could run the first video, and we're going to just take a look at it. We're going to look at two videos back to back.
Numbers of
Go ahead, no problem.
African-American women in Maryland and across the nation are leaving traditional church worship. All of them are in search of something else, a spiritual belief that connects them to their ancestors and where they can feel more empowered to control their own well-being. They have found it in ancient forms of spiritual contact. Some call it witchcraft, a term they accept and embrace. For most of us, this is how we worship, a tradition that predates us all. This, too, is an ancient art of worshiping, not to God the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, but to spirits and deities that span the oceans and date back to pre-slavery days in Africa. Are you, in fact, witches?
Whatever the situation calls for. So if you come to me with pleasantries, you being respectful, you'll get Glinda, the good witch of the suburbs. But if you come at me with negativity and meanness and disrespect, then you'll get Eveline, your worst nightmare.
They have many names and titles and ranks within their belief system. They are college-educated professional women who've chosen to believe that theirs is a truer example of worship that is inclusive of the genders. It connects them, they say, to their ancestors and fills a need not found in traditional worship, though most of them grew up in the church.
I was raised Christian, all Christians in my family. In fact, my grandfather was a preacher in the South.
I also grew up Christian. I grew up Anglican in the Episcopal Church. The older I got, the more disconnect I felt.
I was raised Baptist. My father is a deacon. My mom a deaconess. I was in church all the time.
These women are part of a sect, Ile Ola Afefe Osameji, spiritual temple. They worship and offer prayers to Oshun, a predominant deity.
She's the deity or the Orisha of aesthetics, beauty, sex, sensuality.
There are growing numbers of African American women who have chosen for themselves a new life, leaving the church in search of more meaning in their lives. And yes, it can be called witchcraft. At a recent convention in Baltimore, more than 200 witches gathered, a sisterhood. But their spells are for good, not for evil. In this ritual, the women are preparing an offering to Oshun on behalf of a woman in California who's looking for a mate. The omelet-type dish is sweetened with honey, believed to be a favorite of Oshun. Prayers are said over the offering and for the woman in need. A portion is offered to Eshu, the male counterpart of Oshun, and placed in a secret place beneath the stairs of this Odinton home. Using shells, they ask the spirit if she is pleased. 4 shells are tossed to the floor, 2 land up, 2 land down. Balance. The gift is accepted.
She accepts it.
The traditions may seem odd to most, a mystery to some, complex and multi-layered. These daughters of the moon, followers of Oshun, women, powerful, determined, and understanding, say there is nothing to fear. They are here, and they will be here for the foreseeable future. Yes, there are witches among us.
This is something that our ancestors did, and all we're doing is tapping back into it so that we can become our best selves, individually and collectively.
Now I want you to pay attention to what they said, right? So they worshiping some god Oshun, which is made with hands, right? So we want to pay attention. They were looking for things that, one was looking for a mate, right? So they did something to get a mate, right? So I want you to just look at some of this stuff and pay attention, because we're going to uncover it. And I want to tell you one thing, they are not lying. It is a religion of your ancestors. This is true. They are not lying. But it did kind of remind me of my brother and I, we were kids, and he said, let's curse. And I was like, we can't curse. And he said, well, I'm going to pray and ask, can we curse? Right? And so he prayed. Then I said, what'd he say? Right? Well, he said, yeah. Right? So that's what he said. Dude, it's accepted. Well, how does she know? Well, we'll uncover that later. But that always tripped me out. Now, next we're going to go to the other video, because remember I told you it's always about manifestation, what they want. Let's look at it. Go ahead.
To share it to the world. Let it rain on me now. So be it. So it is. I was a super Christian. I was raised in the church. I was a worship leader. I'm like singing all over the place and touring over here and crying out to God. How many times have I prayed to Jesus to show up for things that were actually needed, and he didn't show up?
Melissa Whetstone grew up as a preacher's kid, but 12 years ago, she left the church. She says the community felt toxic, and she didn't feel a personal connection to Jesus.
Hi, how are you? I need the frankincense and myrrh is here.
She eventually discovered Lukumi, a religion that was brought to Cuba by enslaved West Africans.
It's just a beautiful thing to be a part of. It's a beautiful community spirit. You're learning and growing with other people, so I really love it.
Black folks have left the church in higher numbers over the last decade than ever before, and younger generations are even less likely to affiliate with the church. But many young people are still seeking spirituality, and some are reviving traditions from Africa and the Caribbean through practices that connect them with their ancestors.
This is my bovada, or my altar. A few glasses of water. And that's just for my specific ancestors who watch and look over me. I have liquor that my uncle likes. Gotta make sure he's still getting little on the side. I feed them, I talk to them, I spend time with them. Like, this is my place to be.
So can you talk about some of the differences in what you study now to what your relationship was with Christianity then? What are you getting out of Lukumi that you
I
didn't
get
find
answers
in
to my
the
prayers.
Christian church?
That I tell people that all the time. Like, when they're like, what's the difference? I'm like, because my prayers are answered. Like, that's one. When I come to my altar and I pray to my ancestors and I actually take my time to cry out, not only do I get responses, I get physical manifestations and answers.
You were born.
You see it? That's what they're looking for. They say I get answers, right? Did y'all notice the cross was still there? Right? And did y'all notice the one thing that's prevalent throughout all this? Let's go somewhere real quick that's not on the thing. Let's go to Genesis 3 and 4. It's prevalent throughout all the deception. All the deception that's out here, because I want to let you know something. I was always taught, if in a hustle, anytime somebody's doing a hustle, If you don't know who the sucker is, it's you. Anytime there's a hustle, if you don't know who the sucker is, it's you. Go to Genesis 3:4 real quick. What did that say?
And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die.
You shall not surely die. What did she say she was doing with her ancestors? She was talking with them. She was praying with them. The whole thing is about ye shall not surely die. You don't want to die. Man don't want to die. And so he's been using that throughout the whole time, and he's playing both sides of the table. And you getting suckered. So when you walked in a movie and you saw The Exorcist and you was rooting for the Catholic priest, right, against the little girl who was supposed to be exorcising, you was the sucker. Because they both on his side. Right? And we're going to show you all of that. So let's walk all of this down, because this practice has been practiced throughout your customs since the beginning. You picked it up and you've held on to it when the Lord told you not to. So we're going to get straight to it. So they have all different practices. I don't care what you call it. It's all paganism. Hoodoo, Vadu, or Vodou, right? Vodou, do it the EY and the spirit. It's a religion. Hoodoo, you don't have to be. Most people that's doing hoodoo are mostly what we call so-called Sunday Christians, right? Or part of Christendom. Your grandma was a deacon, a deaconess in the church, and she still practiced hoodoo when she said, well, we're going to put the do the root work, or put the blood in the soup and all that stuff. Okay? So all this stuff is practiced, but they're not doing it for nothing. Remember, she said she got answers. Believe me, she did. They are selling the same thing, protection. I'm gonna play both sides. I'm gonna protect you. You know, you wear this certain ring. If it get hot, the evil spirits will bet you. So now you got to do the whole song and dance. I shoot. You saw? To protect. Mostly, I always say it's another spirit in the room. Why? Why do they know that? But both spirits are working for coming from one source, right? But let's keep, and believe me, that don't mean Satan is divided. He's not divided. He's just running the game on you. Let's go. Let's start it right here, 1 John 4. We're going to walk this down through the scriptures. Let's start it right here, 1 John 4. 1 John 4. 1 John 4. We're going to start at verse 1, then we're going to skip to 5. 1 John 4. Verse 1, and we're going to skip to 5. Go ahead.
Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of God.
You see that? Believe not every spirit, right? Like Eve, to believe not every spirit, but you're supposed to try the spirit, whether it's of God. Keep going.
Because many false prophets are gone out into the world.
Many. That don't mean they all come in Sunday suits. They come in all. See, a lot of times they're getting younger sisters too, because it said millennials are going to this in droves, right? Whether they white or black, right? Don't matter what you are, Satan is agnostic. They're going to it in droves. Why? Because you're not trying the spirit. And the false prophet can come in any way, shape, or form. Skip on down to 5. Go ahead.
They are of the world. Therefore speak they of the world, and the world heareth them. We are of God. He that knoweth God heareth us. He that is not of God heareth not us. Hereby know we the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. So we're supposed to know both sides, right? We're supposed to be able to look and see the spirit of truth and discern it from the spirit of error. But because of your own wants, because you feel, in the gospel I don't have no part as a woman, so I'm going to serve this other thing that's going to give me some power. Isn't that what she said? She said, hey, we serve the goddess Ashun or something like that, right? And we priestess and all that. Like you got some other priestess, right, that claims she can help you with your life. But she's a Yoruba priestess, right? So I want you to pay attention to that, because even it said this article I read in the Atlantic.com about witches in Baltimore, it said African-American witchcraft originated in West Africa, the birthplace of Yoruba, a set of religious traditions focused on reverence for ancestors and worship of a vast
pantheon of deities known as orishas. Isn't that what she was saying? Right? So when you got people who saying they're going to help you, you better know what they got to help you with. Because they will come for you. Don't think you are exempt. That's the same thing I told you on a doctrine manifestation. Don't think you exempt, because it's coming for you. Let's go to Matthew 16. The fool, the one that said in their heart that, oh, it can't touch me. It can touch you in more ways than you know. You're going to see, I'm going to show you through this whole lesson that you got to watch on both sides. You might be rooting for one side thinking it's the good side. Remember, she told you, I could be Glenda the good witch, right? So you thinking that's the good side. No, it's all one side. It's all bad. It's all deadness. Let's go. Matthew 16 and 21. Matthew 16 and 21. You ready? Go ahead.
From that time forth began Jesus to show unto his disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed and be raised again the third day.
Now it's funny how none of the apostles paid attention to raised again the third day, right? Once they heard kill, oh no, right? Keep going.
Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Lord. This is not be unto thee.
Ye shall not surely die. Ye shall not surely die. Be it far from thee, Lord. This shall not be done unto you, right? It's the same lie. Ye shall not surely die. Keep going.
But he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan.
Get thee behind me who?
Satan.
But he said it unto who?
Peter.
Did y'all hear Satan? Why I didn't hear Satan? You think Satan, he can't speak well or something? What's going on with him? Keep going.
Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men.
That be of who?
Be of men.
Be of men. Satan is the ultimate salesman. He's about what you about. He ain't thinking about, he know how to get you be about what you about, right? He said, but you ain't savoring the things that be of God, but those that be of men. But I'm wondering, why didn't I hear Satan? Let's go to Isaiah 29. I'm going to show you how they speak, how they approach you. They are very smooth. You'll be thinking, oh man, oh, it's all, it's all good. That's this, that's that. But this is real smooth. This is real subtle. Remember, if you had to keep reading in Genesis, it said he was more subtle than any beast of the field. Let's go to Isaiah 29. We're going to read verse 1, then we're going to skip to 4. Isaiah 29, verse 1, then we're going to skip to 4. You ready? Go ahead.
Woe to Ariel, the city where David dwelt. Add ye year to year. Let them kill, sacrifice.
So he said, woe to Ariel. In other words, I read that so you know who the Lord is talking to. He's talking to Israel, right? So he said, woe to Israel, right? Like, go to 4. This is what we're looking for. Go to 4. Go ahead.
And thou shalt be brought down and speak out of the ground.
Go ahead.
And thy speech shall be low out of the dust.
Low out of the dust. Go ahead.
And thy voice shall be as of one that hath a familiar spirit.
How do they speak?
Very low.
Go, keep what it say?
Out of the ground. And thy speech shall whisper out of the dust.
See how they speak? Out of the ground they speak. You didn't even hear Satan come in there and get in Peter's ear. Right? Because that's how smooth they come to you. Like I had one come to me before. One lady come, would you like your cider reading today? What? What you say? You got to speak up for me. I talk loud. I'm from the west side of Chicago. Right? Whoa, no. Now, I wasn't in the word yet, but I knew better than that. You know what I'm saying? Because that was how smooth she was. I didn't know what she said. I had to get close. Because they speak low and out of the dust. And they come but it's really representing how much they are like Satan. The familiar spirits just like the one that they left heaven with. Smooth, right? He said he was more subtle than any beast of the field. So that's how easily they come upon you. Let's keep going on. Let's look how the Lord said you should handle them no matter who they are. Let's go to Deuteronomy 13. So when you find out who doing what, you see how quick Jesus handled that situation? And Peter was his homeboy, right? Deuteronomy 13, we're going to read 1 through 10. Deuteronomy 13, 1 through 10. You ready? Go ahead.
If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known. Let us serve them.
So he said, if there arise in you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, so you know how, here's how they might look today. You know what, brother, let me speak into your life, right? Or let me prophesy to your kids' life. It happens all the time. You know, I don't know if y'all heard, I know they do it big time in the churches in Chicago. Like, they have lines of people walking up so they can prophesy in each one of them lives. Now, did it say it did not happen? No, it said it came to pass. So what they said was true. You see how you can get easily roped in? Somebody done prophesied in your life and what was what, and it actually happened the way they said it? What you might do, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. For the Lord your God proveth you.
Oh, so the Lord is checking you out. So it said, after they done prophesied in your life, guess what they going to say come do? Come serve their God. How they do it? Hey, you know you should come to my church. Really, you know what? Yeah, because it worked. What you said was really true. So you go serve their God, don't you? Yeah, you forgot how easy that is to do. You know what? I was looking for a little bit more connection because I'm not getting connection when I'm reading the Bible. But right with you, I'm getting connection. Yeah, you sure are. That's the whole point. The same way Eve got a connection. It sure is something God don't want us to know. Right? Right? Because God doesn't know. And so you get that same connection, and guess what? Now you roped in it. So he said, hey, if you, thou should not hearken unto that words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for the Lord God proving you, he checking you out. That's why he let it come to pass. Go ahead.
To know whether ye love the Lord your God with all of your heart and with all of your soul. You shall walk after the Lord your God and fear him and keep his commandments and obey his voice. And ye shall serve him and cleave unto him. So
he's trying to check you out and make sure you're going to either love him or love you. You either worried about him or you worried about you. So he's checking you out. Go ahead.
And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death.
What is supposed to happen to him?
Shall be put to death.
Now, Matt, you don't touch nobody. I don't want nobody here going claiming that the Israeli God done said go put some hands on people. You let the Lord deal with it. But in the land, he told Israel to do that. Right? So don't leave here trying to say, yep, I knew you was a witch. I'm finna, no. You just serve the Lord, right? Keep going.
Because he has spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which the Lord thy God commanded thee to walk in. So shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of thee. So to put evil out of the midst of you, he's telling you, hey, you better, y'all put him to death. Y'all get this stuff out of here because he called it evil trying to take you out of the way of the Lord. Anything that's taking you away from the commandments of God, the Lord just called that evil. Keep going. But what did he say? What if it's your wife? What if it's your child or your close friend? Read what it says. If thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son,
or your son, go ahead,
or thy daughter,
or your daughter, wasn't all them somebody's daughters? Go ahead.
or the wife of thy bosom,
Huh. Keep going.
or thy friend, which is as thy own soul.
Go ahead.
Entice thee secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy father.
So he said, whoever it is, whether it's your wife, because some of them could have been married, except the one that was actually looking for the husband, right? But some of the others could have been married. Well, I hope she wasn't married looking for another husband. But because they're not serving God, so we don't know what they're doing. But it said even if it's the wife of your bosom or your friend that you done came up with all that time, he say, hey, and they say, let us go serve other gods. Keep going.
Which thou hast not known.
Go ahead.
Thou nor thy fathers, namely of the gods of the people which are round about you.
Oh, so that's where you got it from. So, yeah, it's your ancestry kinda, but you picked it up. It said, gods of these people that was round about you. Go ahead.
Nigh unto thee. Or far off from thee. From the end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth.
So I don't care if it was the Canaanite god that was right by you or Christmas, which came far away from you. I don't care which one ever it was. He said, namely, any of these gods that was round about you or ones that's far from you, what should you do? Verse 8.
Thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him. Neither shall thine eye pity him, neither shalt thou spare, neither shalt thou conceal.
So you can't hide him, can you? You can't say, oh man, that was my son. Hey boy, you gonna stay here. We ain't gonna let the people find out. You can't hide him, huh? What else it say you supposed to do?
But thou shalt surely kill him. Thine hand shall be first upon him to put him
Your
to death.
hand gotta be the first one on him. So that is not snitching, don't it? What you gonna not snitch for when the Lord can see anyway? How silly is that? You know the Lord can see, so he see you not snitching. When you know what's going on, he said you cannot conceal him. Your hand better be the first one on top of his head. Go ahead.
Thine hand shall be the first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people.
Keep going.
And thou shalt stone him with stones that he die, because he has sought to thrust thee away from the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage.
Because no matter what, all that did was thrust all the people away from the word of God. And the Lord looked at that as evil and that they should be put to death. Let's keep going. Let's go to Isaiah 65 and look at some of this. We're going to see some of the stuff that they doing. You know, like some of the people do all the smudging and all that stuff, you know. Even people in here, people in the world, oh yeah. I didn't see anywhere where I read, hey, you know, when that evil spirit came upon, when Satan came upon Job, why Job doesn't go smudge? Like, hey man, this is going to ward you off. I'm straight now. Why Saul friends, and when they knew, Saul friends told him, the evil spirit from the Lord has come upon you, didn't it? Yeah. Why didn't they say, I got some sage, homie, though, you ain't even got to worry about it. Just start lighting it up. I got you some incense, Saul, just light it on up, you straight. Why they didn't do that? Because it wasn't going to work. Let's go to Isaiah 65. Let's see what Israel been doing. 65, we're going to read 1 through 6. You ready? Go ahead.
I am sought of them that asked not for me. I am found of them that sought me not. I said, behold me, unto a nation that was not called by my name.
Keep going.
I have spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in the way that was not good, after their own thoughts.
After their own thoughts. They've been thinking about their own stuff. He said, I've been spreading out my hand to y'all all this time, and all y'all could do is think about your own thoughts. But I've been trying to get your attention, doing everything. I done saved you out of Egypt. I done kept you. I done did everything. And you just still walking after your own thoughts. Keep going. Who are you to the Lord?
A people that provoketh me to anger continually to my face.
Right under his face, he said, right here, you know I'm here, you know I'm among you, and you will just do it anyway. Go ahead.
That sacrifices in gardens. And burneth incense upon altars of brick.
Oh, you think you know what they do with smudging too? You burn the incense. Right? So they doing it to a false god. Burn the incense. Not saying that. I always got to do housekeeping. Don't say you burn the incense in your house because you want to keep your house smelling good. That is okay. Right? It's for what they doing it for. They burning incense on altars of brick for this false god. Right? Because this is one of the rituals, as you saw, right? When you saw her incense, she was looking for all the spices and all that. That's one of their rituals. And guess what else you still saw there? Do you still see the cross? Right there. What she was telling, she talked to her people, she had a cross right there. So that you know the cross ain't got nothing to do with this, the God in his body. Right? The cross must got something to do with the God that they serve. Right? Keep going.
Which remain among the graves,
Uh-huh.
and lodge in the monuments,
Uh-huh.
which eat swine's flesh, and broth of abominable things are in their vessels.
Gumbo, right? Right? So he said, hey, they remain among the graves and lodge in the money. They dealing with necromancy, they dealing with all that stuff among the dead, and they spiritually dead. So like I told you, he's covering both sides. The ones that's in these churches, spiritually dead. The ones that's in these cults or whatever, spiritually dead. He's got both games on lock. You're the only sucker. You're the only one falling and rooting for one against the other. But no, he is running both of them. He doesn't care he doesn't care about either one of them. What he cares about is that same message is going through both. One of them say you're going to heaven. You should not surely die. One of them say you could talk to them while they're ancestors. You should not surely die. The message is the same. Let's keep going. Where we at?
The end of 4.
Go ahead.
Which say, stand by thyself, come not near to me, for I am holier than thou. These are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burneth all the day.
See, so I don't know, like I said before, I do barbecue, and I do it with wood. And when you light that wood, and that smoke come up, you cannot stand it. And that's what the Lord is saying about these people. But what do they say to you? That they holier than you, right? Don't come near to me. And then what they say on the other side, so the Christendom side, we holier than you. You ain't got the Holy Ghost. Don't come here, right? I'm wondering if that ghost is holy, right? But then the other one say, you don't have the right energy. Your aura is off, right? Now, everybody got all this energy, and I have studied physics to the nth degree, okay? And I ain't seen one equation for this energy. Where is it coming from? You see what I'm saying? What is this? But they got all the answers right there. Ooh, when she walked in the room, the energy just fell off. Show me the workout for that. Show me the equation for that one, right? But I'm telling you, it's the same story. One saying, hey, don't come, you ain't got the Holy Ghost. One saying, you ain't got the right energy. Same story. Satan is selling you a bill of goods. He just wants you to join whichever side you want. But it's still him, and it's all paganism. It's all witchcraft. We're going to see it. Let's keep going. Where we at?
That's the end of 5.
Go ahead.
Behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silence, but will recompense, even recompense into their book.
And we're going to show you that too. The Lord telling you straight up, I'm not going to keep silent about this. Don't think that I'm weak because I'm letting you go, but I'm gonna recompense this, and I'm going to recompense it into your bosom. Let's go look at, I got a definition right there, right? Definition of smudging is right there, right? Let's look at it, right? Because he said, they burning incense on altars of brick, right? Go ahead.
Smudging is traditionally a ceremony for purifying or cleansing the soul of a negative thoughts of a person or place. There are 4 elements involved in the smudge.
So it's used to cure negative thoughts of a person or a place. I never heard of places having thoughts, but okay. So if you burn this stuff, you should automatically think clear. Okay? You just called something else. When you said, but okay, keep going.
The container, traditionally a shell representing water, is the first element. The 4 sacred plants, cedar, sage, sweetgrass,
Tobacco, go ahead.
gifts from Mother Earth, represent the second element. The fire produced from lightning, the sacred plants, represents the third element. The smoke produced from the fire represents air, the fourth element.
So all of this stuff they were doing, that's what the Lord was talking about here, right here. That they are burning all this incense on altars of brick. You put this whole thing together, you burn it on the wood, and the smoke come up, and he letting them know you were smoking my nose. Because I told you not to get involved with this. Let's go see where he told them that. Let's go to Deuteronomy 18. I warned you, and he said, I'm not going to keep silence because I let you know about this. I told you when you first got here, the reason that I kicked the other people out, for you not to do it. But let's see what we did. So when they said it is from our ancestors, they're not lying. We picked this up, and we practiced it, and we practiced it so much that we took it on as our own, right? No, this is our ancestors. No. But yeah, it's your ancestors that didn't follow the commandments of God. You steady following them instead of following the ones that did follow the commandments of God. Let's go to Deuteronomy 18 and verse 9. We're going to start at 9. We're going to read 9 through 14. Deuteronomy 18, 9 through 14. You ready? Go ahead.
When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch.
So he said, don't make one of them pass through the fire. Y'all, you're going to see the Lord going to talk about the pass through the fire Molech. Molech, that owl god, whatever, what you kind of see on some of people's currencies and stuff like that, because they worship this stuff, right? That don't mean you don't use your currency. Use your currency, right? That's the way to operate. But it's what you do to get the currency. That's the problem, right? But so he said, hey, don't get involved in letting your kids pass through this fire or use the divination. We're going to see what actually happened. Use divination, observer of times, or an enchanter or a witch. So we just saw that, what was going on. They was observing times, they was enchanting witch, or what else? Go ahead, verse 11.
Or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer.
So a necromancer is someone that deals with the dead, or a wizard, or one that consults with familiar spirits. That's usually what we call a conjure person, which was usually what, when they brought up your grandma and did that, and your grandma talked to me last night, right? And or you go, I don't know if y'all remember that movie with Whoopi Goldberg with the ghost. And she was right there, and then she started talking and saying stuff that only she could know. I mean, that person would know. That's a conjure person. It's usually a conjure woman, right? That's what they did. That's nothing new. Believe me, we've been doing it for a long time. So keep where we at.
In 11.
Keep going.
For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee.
Oh, so that's why they got driven out. Because they were doing it first. So you picked up their stuff. Right? Didn't they say where it came from, the land of Ham? Right? The land of Ham, what were Canaanites? They were Hamites, wasn't it? Right? And we picked that same stuff up. Right? So now that we done picked it up, yeah, it's part of your ancestry. Yeah, the ones that didn't do what thus saith the Lord. Right? Keep going.
Thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God. For these nations which thou shalt possess, hearken unto observers of time and unto diviners. But as for thee, the Lord thy God hath not suffered thee so to do.
So I ask you, I'm not suffering with you to do this, Israel. When you walk in here, you don't do the same things that they did. That's what he was telling them, but evidently we did not listen. Let's go to Leviticus 20. So when they come to you and you see all this stuff, observative times, believe me, they have multiple ways to get you to get involved in observing time. It's not just they're going to do it just on plain like that. Because look, let me tell you something. What they sell here, like what I learned about them, they don't know what they're doing. That's plain. Because the real stuff, what they sell you is protection. They get you to observe time in so many ways. They say, hey, you put this ring on. And every time one of the evil spirits come on you, it's going to get hot. And you're going to know to get away when somebody coming to kill you and stuff like that. So they selling you all this protection. But the funny thing about it, protecting you from who? Protecting you from the same ones that's doing it. It's almost like I go rob your house, right? And take your TV and I come back and sell it to you. So pay attention to what is going on. But this is really happening. Let's see what Israel actually did. Let's go to Leviticus 20, and we're going to start at verse 1. You ready? Leviticus 20 and verse 1. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Again, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, Whosoever he be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn in Israel, that giveth any of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones.
So the Lord it wasn't just for Israel then, was it? For anybody that's going to be among Israel, if you're a stranger, you're going to serve this God, don't give your seed to Molech, right? Keep going.
And I will set my face against that man, and will cut him off from among his people, because he hath given his seed unto Molech to defile my sanctuary and to profane my holy name.
Keep going.
And if the people of the land do anyways hide their eyes from the man, when he giveth of his seed unto Molech, and kill him not.
What? So he's putting it on you again, ain't he? He said, hey, if any of y'all, you see it happening, they're giving their seed to Molech, and you hide your eyes, and you don't put the finger on it, so this letting you know you can't just sit back and watch. You are just as guilty. The law was never for Israel sitting back and watching wrong go on. We have come up with that stuff today, but that was never the case. So he see you giving this seed to Molech, you sit back and watch, what's going to happen?
Then I will set my face against that man.
I'm going to set my face against you now. Keep going, go ahead.
And against his family.
And against your family. Go ahead.
And will cut him off. And all that go a-whoring after him to commit whoredom with Molech from among their people. So everybody that go a-whoring, you see what the Lord calls that? When you do that, he calls that going a-whoring. It's almost like you were wife and you weren't cheating on your husband. He said, you like a prostitute when you go out there and you serve these other gods. He said, anybody that go a-whoring after Molech and all that, whoredom, right? Keep going, go ahead. And the soul that turneth after such have familiar spirits. And after wizards to go a-whoring after them. I will even set my face against that soul, and will cut him off from among his people. That means you're not going to even be included. So when the Lord say how he make up his jewels, you not included. When that name being written, you not included. When he said, I'm going to cut you off, that means just like a will. What you do in the will? You cut him off, right? You get nothing. But you ain't written in this book. When you cut off, it's the fire for you. Keep going. Sanctify yourselves, therefore, and be ye holy. For I am the Lord your God. So I'm the Lord your God. You sanctify yourself and be ye holy. Go to verse 27. Go ahead. Because remember what he said. Anybody that deal with Molech or a familiar spirit or a wizard, you either put the finger on them and you stone them with stones, right? Which we're not doing that. You just put the finger on them, okay? All right? Go ahead, 27. A man also, or a woman, that hath a familiar spirit, or that is a wizard. So it don't matter your gender. So ain't nobody say, oh, that's a lady, don't do that. Oh, he a good brother. No, it doesn't matter. The Lord is saying, if a man also or a woman that hath a familiar spirit, go ahead, or a wizard, shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them. So he's letting them know they should stone them with stones, and their blood shall be upon them. So people wondering, who's letting their kid pass through the fire or giving their seed to Molech? We're going to see. We're going to look at it,
a definition, but then we're going to go back and we're going to take a look at who did it. Let's go. There's a definition right there. It says, from the JAMA Network, November 23, 1964, voodoo, or what is called Vodou or Vadu, right? It's different from who. These are all little different forms of Satan's brands of paganism, right? So hoodoo and voodoo are different, but again, this is more of a religious thing, but let's look at what they talk about when they talk about blood magic, right? Because he said, letting your seed pass through the fire, right? Let's go. Go ahead.
Blood magic and the Hawaiian kahuna primitive people in various parts of the world, when subjected to sorcery or black magic, may become seriously ill or die. Voodoo or Vadu has been reported among Negroes in Africa and Haiti, and among the Aborigines of Australia.
So guess who picked it up? We did, right? So it seems like every time somebody puts something down, here we go grab it, right? Go ahead.
In 1964, educated and civilized persons find it difficult to believe that areas still exist where sorcery is practiced.
So these guys back in 64 was thinking, man, I don't believe sorcery still being practiced. Well, let's look at this book called Blood Magic by Seedlack. So she starts out blood used. You got it?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Blood Magic by Seedlack. Blood used is equivalent to every facet of witchcraft because of its tremendous power.
It's what? It's tremendous power, right? Let's see how it is. Remember, he kept saying, don't let your seed pass through the fire of Molech, right? Let's keep going. Go ahead.
Blood sustains us all. Without blood, survival would never be conceivable. Apart from providing us life through nourishment, blood connects people from a spiritual and sacred means. It draws on the donor's nature and personality, acting as a mystic fought for the magic that follows, preparing it and giving it purpose. That's what makes it such a potent factor.
So it says it draws on the donor's nature and personality. So they believe that your blood takes on your personality, it draws on that and acting as a mystical fount, right, for the magic that follows, preparing it and giving it purpose. This is all about the blood, right? Keep going. Let's go. Blood magic.
Blood magic, also recognized as blood sorcery, is an ancient and severe kind of magic. This mystical but forbidden magic is used to cast spells and charms. Curses created with blood, the very bodily fluid, which is the influential strength and the essence of life in the working of magic, are potent. It may be a representation of a sacrifice.
So sometimes they use it for a sacrifice, right? And you would think, who would let their seed or their family go through this, right? We're going to see. But he said, because of all these things about blood is the reason they do it, right? Keep going.
Still, it may also be the loss of life that sustains the spell.
So sometimes they got to die for the spell to work, right? Go ahead.
Blood magic is also generally practiced in blood rituals. Some blood may be made to be more potent than others. Common types are human blood, the caster's own blood, the blood of royalty, and extraordinary family lineage.
So you notice it said the blood of royalty, right? So it said the caster's own blood. Sometimes they, you know how people make these blood oaths and stuff. We see this stuff. It still goes on. Nobody pays attention or cares about it. But they doing this stuff for a reason, right? Because they all coming from this one source. But keep going.
A youth's blood or a virgin's blood. Sometimes simply a particular individual's blood has power and any other blood is ineffective.
Okay, so sometimes it's a particular individual has to go for, and it has power, and anybody else it wouldn't work. But notice like they said, so if you were like of a royal seed, so you were a son of a king or something like that, this blood got major power. Why? Because the pagan gods they serve says so. And Satan's behind it all. But let's look, did Israel actually go and pick this up after the Lord said, don't do it? Let's go to 2 Kings 21. Second Kings 21. Like I said, it's very old. You have not just started this. They were doing it in here, all over here. There's so many places that I couldn't even go to all of them. We'd be here all day. That everybody took what the Lord said as nothing and did what they want and went after their own hearts anyway, right? Keep going. 2 Kings 21. We're going to read 1 through 6. You ready? Go ahead.
Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hephzibah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, after the abominations of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel.
You see who the Lord keep naming and was doing it first? So he said, after the abomination of the heathen or the nations, that's all heathen mean. Heathen don't mean bad. Or after the abomination of the nations, whom the Lord cast out from before. So they picked this stuff up. And even to the point, the king of Judah has picked this up, right? Go ahead.
For he built up again the high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed. And he reared up altars of Baal.
You see that? So those high places, like those incense upon altars of brick, he built them back up, right? And then he also reared up the altars for Baal. Go ahead.
And made a grove, as did Ahab, king of Israel, and worshipped all the host of heaven, and served them.
All those observers of time, like you got the Egyptologists that might come at you, and they observe time, they observe the sun. They even got that kind of magic too. They say, well, we can't do much power and work when the winter time because the sun is not out, which give us our strength. And so what they do, they sell the same stuff. See, you unprotected. You are protected from the spirit, so I got this thing that you can buy from me, and I can protect you from those spirits. They're doing all this to sell a protection, and it's almost to the point that they just uneasy. Why? Because the only way you're going to get some ease is keeping the command. Amen. He told you this is your peace and your wisdom. But the reason they don't have none is because they steady going from thing to thing. Hey, they got to pay money over here to get protection from that. Then they got to pay money over here. Oh, I got to do the chakra this and all of that. I got to hop up and down and throw stuff on the floor. I got to do all of this. Instead of just taking heed to the word of the Lord, which is so simple. You ready? Keep going.
And he built altars in the house of the Lord, of which the Lord said, in Jerusalem will I put my name.
So you see what he did? He had to go now build altars and groves and all that when you already had one temple of the Lord. And this is a king in Judah, right? Keep going. Go ahead.
And he built altars for all the host of heaven in the two courts of the house of the Lord.
Right in the house of the Lord. Go ahead.
And he made his son pass through the fire.
He did what?
He made his son.
Didn't it say royal blood was important? She didn't get that from nowhere. They've been knowing this. So his seed was royal. So for whatever his need was, he decided it was more important to have whatever it was that he wanted, that he was willing to let his son go through the fire. Don't look at him as something wrong, because we've done the same thing. We've let our children go out there and go through that fire of bullets for stuff that we know that they shouldn't be doing. To get something with that got that same God Molech on it. Didn't we? We see it all the time. And just to get that thing, they got that same God Molech on it. And we just was told, don't let your kids pass through the fire. But we do it all the time. We ain't no different than Manasseh. Why? Because it's going to bring us something. And we say, oh, it's okay. They're going to be all right. They running the whole area over here. They're going to be the so-and-so. We ride with it as adults, as parents. But if everybody, like Israel was supposed to, go get your son and tell him what he's supposed to do, as opposed to him telling you what you're supposed to do, maybe they wouldn't be passed through the fire of Molech. This is the same, I told you, Satan is playing the same game on you. You just ain't woke up yet. Keep going.
And observed times and used enchantments, and dealt with familiar spirits and wizards.
Go ahead.
He wrought much wickedness in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him to anger.
All that stuff is provoking the Lord to anger. So you wonder why he's staying mad at us. All that stuff is provoking him to anger. Because it's all whoredom and idolatry. It's nothing different. I'm just putting a name on witchcraft because it's just something new that seemed like it's new that we catching on to. That's the only reason I put the name. But it's still the same. This is the same. That's this big switch. I could have turned witchcraft and said Santa Claus. It would have been the same story. It's no different. Let's go and look at it happen again. Let's go to 1 Samuel 28. If you think that you just come up with something new, no, they are correct. Listen to what they're saying. They from our ancestors. We, the ancestors that decided not to serve the Lord. 1 Samuel 28. 1 Samuel 28. I remember meeting a guy in a store one time who told me he was a Satanist, right? Didn't bother me, no, okay. And he was a brother too. And he had a little cross upside down. I'm thinking, you was just as much of a Satanist with that cross turned the other way. and he wanted to know why, once he found out I was a Christian, why I wasn't trying to help him, like why I wasn't trying to, tell him, wait, why I wasn't concerned that he was a Satanist. Because I was like, look, man, whether you go to fire or not, they ain't burning me. That's your business. If you want some help, I got it for you. If you don't want the help, I don't have nothing for you, man. And he thought he was giving some big information to me. He gonna say, the head of the Catholic Church, he was Satanist just like me. I'm like, I know that. You ain't telling me nothing. But it's funny to me because they think they came on something new. But no, this is very old. Let's go to 1 Samuel 28 and 1. You ready? Go ahead.
And it came to pass in those days that the Philistines gathered their armies together for a warfare to fight with Israel. Mm-hmm. And Achish said unto David, Know thou surely that thou shalt go with me to battle, thou and thy men. So
Saul is the Philistines are fighting against Israel. And Saul, like I said, usually everybody do this when they are afraid. So Saul is afraid he's going to lose this battle against the Philistines. We always want something for us. We ain't thinking about the Lord. He ain't mentioned one about the Lord's people. We got to fight for them. He worried about the Philistines beating him and his army, right? So let's skip down to 3. Go ahead.
Now Samuel was dead.
Now can you repeat that, please?
Now Samuel was dead.
So repeat it again.
Now Samuel was dead.
So we have put that in the ground that Samuel is what?
Dead.
He's dead. Go ahead.
And all Israel had lamented him.
And to the point all Israel knew he was dead, right? Because they lamented him, right? Go ahead.
And buried him in Ramah, even in his own city.
Uh-huh.
And Saul had put away those that had familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land.
So Saul did what he was supposed to do, and he put all those that had familiar spirits and the wizards, he put them what? Out of the land. Get them out of here, right? Like he was supposed to. But skip to verse 6. Now we're going to read this story. This is going to be 6 through 19. You ready? Go ahead.
And when Saul inquired of the Lord answered him not, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by prophet.
Oh, so now Saul inquired of the Lord, and the Lord did what? He didn't answer him. Isn't that what the lady requested? She said, when I come here, I get answers. Right? Because I wasn't getting no answer from the Lord. Maybe you wasn't doing what thus said the Lord. That's why you wasn't getting no answer. So Saul's not doing what thus said the Lord. He's not getting an answer, right? Okay, let's go. Go ahead.
Then said Saul unto his servants, Seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said to him, Behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit in Endor. Mm-hmm. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment. And he went, and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night. And he said, I have prayed thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit. and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee.
So basically what Saul has done is said, skip the word of the Lord. If I can't hear nothing from the Lord, I'm going to hear from somebody.